Good morning, everyone. This beautiful Friday morning, it's about 75 degrees. So what we're going to be talking about today is, in addition to the H.A.A.G series, recovery. Okay, so you've been adding in your new things, you've been working on some new patterns, you're using some new muscle structures. Some are unlocking, some are tightening up. Some things might be coming into spasm here and there. Some muscle twitches might be happening. It's perfectly normal, especially when you're recruiting new torso patterns and new hip patterns. So what we're going to be doing here is how to open up those hamstrings, use those abs, open up the adductors, and stretch out the glutes a little. So this one here is our on our back march. So you can see I'm trying to keep my toes and my legs tight together here and keep myself in this very strict pattern. Now you notice as my one leg comes up, I'm driving my opposite heel into the ground. So you want to stiffen up the straight leg on the bottom side. Use your abdominals to pull the knee up. Don't just use your hip flexor here. Okay, now you need to slowly work into these. They take a little time, especially if you have a dysfunctional torso. You're gonna have some tight hammies. Okay, guys. The next one we're moving into here is trying to get those adductors firing, stretch out those obliques, stretch everything out, get everything moving in the right pattern here. So our split stance here, knees pointed forward, toes pointed forward, knee and shin and ankle on the trail leg are nice and lined up. And I want to make sure this is very lined up, and I want you to focus on this hip bone forward positioning here, and we want to lock into this and not let our knee externally rotate away from ourselves and not let this front arm go anywhere. So right now you're looking at my right arm, I'm keeping stationary, and I'm coming from my clap position here, and as I open, I'm turning my thumb to the wall. I'm trying to reach down and forward with my front arm, and I'm trying to open my palm up to the ceiling here and put myself as far in external rotation at the shoulder while keeping my ribs in contact as possible. So we're working on a little bit of everything here. This is actually a very, very tiring pattern, but you feel very, very mobile, and you feel like you've opened a couple different things as we work through this here. Okay, this is working a little upper back, through the hip flexors, through the adductors, through the abdominals. Everyone's got tight obliques, everyone's got crunchy obliques. So the big thing here is expressing all of our ranges in a controlled pattern while using something as an anchor point or using something as a rooting point. Even if it is your own arm that you're using as the rooting point, you can see I'm protracting, dropping my shoulder down and reaching forward on this front arm as I'm retracting and externally rotating and bringing my palm to the ceiling and putting my thumb in the wall behind me on the other one. I'm going two completely contradicting patterns while trying to stay in a strict torso position here. And this is how we start teaching these tissues to elongate and to be elastic and actually function while we're doing specific things. The next thing that we're going to move into over here is we're going to do our squat and reach. So we're going to reach down, touch the ground, and making sure that you're pulling yourself down into your squat pattern here. You're trying to maintain your torso pattern as much as you can. So we're going to squat down, reach, reach, stand up, squat down, reach, reach. And I'm doing the same exact thing here. I'm trying to externally rotate both shoulders away from my midline here and to pull myself into as much retraction as I can actually get into to express my full shoulder pattern during this. I'm also making sure to keep my ribs down to make sure I'm able to elongate my serratus the way it should. It needs to have a functional range if you're going to do anything overhead or if you're going to get a squat bar on your back. Another thing here, you see my feet are slightly twisting apart. It's getting a little sweaty, feet start sliding, but that means I'm torquing into the floor. I'm just losing traction on the floor right now. So the big thing for this is to make sure that our upper back and hips and everything, we need to make sure the mobility patterns of everything are matching or we're going to get really bad compensations. And I feel that's where people start seeing a lot too much uncontrolled motion under this umbrella, and under this umbrella becomes an injury. So our next one here, you've probably seen this one in quite a few different videos across the world here. This is a pretty common move here, but we want to be focusing on the same thing. And one thing that I was never taught when I was shown this is you need to stack your torso. You can't just be coming into this movement nice and loose and expect to be able to generate some new ranges of motion. You might get some passive ranges of motion of where can I pull myself into while not flexed, or where can I let my torso collapse into, but that's not really the goal here, is it? The goal is to be able to pull ourselves into this position and then safely return back out, all while under control of our own muscles. Now, if I'm dive bombing in any part of the squat here, I'm not really in control of that pattern, am I? Same thing with my deadlift. So what we want to think about here, and you see as this opens up a little bit, I'm able to externally rotate, tuck the elbows back more and more, pull the shoulders back down more and more, and you can start higher on the shin, and as you get more mobile and as this pulls down more, you literally want to be grabbing onto this leg and pulling yourself down. All right, guys, recovery day stuff, give it a try. Let me know what you think.